The Redmi Note 11 Pro from China has now been launched as the Xiaomi 11i in India. Well, there are some very minute differences. For all intents and purposes, these are the same phones. Now, before I kind of went MIA back in December, I had a video that I had completed almost. That's the video you guys are going to be seeing today. The Redmi Note 11 Pro, how its camera fares in comparison to phones like the Nord 2 and the Realme 8s. Now, this intro here is just to point out the obvious fact that the Redmi Note 11 Pro is the Xiaomi 11i. So now let's get to that video. Redmi phones punch above their weight class. That's something we've come to expect of them. And these samples that you're seeing, they were shot with the Note 11 Pro. But what are camera samples without a frame of reference? And given that punches above weight class line of thinking, I thought maybe, just maybe, the Note 11 Pro can compete with something like the OnePlus Nord 2. Given OnePlus has been quite spectacular in their price hikes over the past couple of years, meaning as good as their phones have been, they are now priced a class higher. Sadly, that turned out to be a case of over expectation since the Nord 2 promptly blew the Note 11 Pro away, making this the perfect case of megapixels are in everything since the Redmi, it has 108 megapixel primary compared to the Nord 2's 50. Okay. I then decided to be more realistic and searched for a phone in roughly the same segment as the Note 11 Pro, and that's when I remembered I had a Realme 8s lying around. And that is what I'm going to be using as a frame of reference. Now, the primary on the Note 11 Pro is a 108 megapixel Samsung HM2 that's paired with a f1.9 lens. The 8s on the other hand has a 64 megapixel primary paired with a f1.8 lens. Now, to be honest, I went in thinking there is no way Realme is going to be competitive. Because yes, technically when you look at it, the 8s is priced around the same as the Note 11 Pro if you converted the Chinese pricing to rupees. But Redmi just launched the lower priced Redmi Note 11 for 15 to 17,000 in India as the 11T. So the 11 Pro, if when it comes out, when it launches in India, it should be priced much higher than the Realme 8s. Was I right or was I right? They ended up launching it at a whopping 25,000 rupees. That makes the next part all the more, just wow, the kind of performance differences you're going to see now. Without spoiling anything, let's continue. So there is no way the 8s can be competitive, right? At least that's what I thought, but man was I surprised. And a good light, the Realme actually came out better. See the texture on the wall here, the whiskers on the cat, the fur, it's all kind of smoothed over on the Redmi. Now with this next set, the skies are a lot bluer on the Realme. Slightly higher saturation, yes. I honestly think that looks better though. Now zoom in and if you look close enough, you can see more detail on the Realme. It just looks more natural. Here the first thing that surprised me was the dynamic range. Look at the sky in both images. The brightest point, it looks similar enough, yes, but look at the dark point, the guy walking. He just has a lot more detail on the image shot by the 8s. Surprising. Zoom in and we see the same characteristics we've been seeing, they apply with the text. Sharper on the Realme, smoother on the Redmi. Here are a few more examples. Now there is no easier way to check dynamic range than shooting the setting sun. And here we can clearly see how the 8s fares better. The details in the shadows, they are about the same, like here on the remote's wheel. But see the sun? It's just blown the F out on the Redmi. There's just a lot more shades there, a lot more detail on the shot from the Realme 8s. Now I went ahead, checked it out again just to ensure that wasn't an outlier, a one-off. And again, multiple shots, the sun, these kind of images, they came out the same way. The dynamic range is just flat out better on the 8s. Okay, so under good light, the Realme's managed to stay ahead. But what about when the sun goes down? Now here's where I noticed a major issue with the Redmi Note 11 Pro. This, what you're seeing is straight out of the viewfinder. And you notice how jittery it is. Feels like it's running at 10 FPS or something. And this isn't how it is on other phones. Here especially, given it is Dimensity 920 versus Dimensity 810, the hardware is definitely not the reason for the Redmi to act this way. It's honestly disappointing. But do note that the Redmi takes only about half as long to shoot and process the picture with night mode. Now talking about the pictures themselves, the results are a lot closer. When you zoom in, you can see the Realme has a tendency to capture shaky images more, probably because of the longer time it exposes. Redmi tends to capture cooler shots at times. This is one area where I expected the Redmi to blow the Realme away, but it really hasn't. The difference in detail and colors are too close to call for the most part. The Note 11 Pro, I'd still say it has an edge, but the major differentiating factor here, it's just the slightly more consistent images that we get out of the Note 11 Pro. And even that comes at a cost, the cost being the sluggish interface. With video, at first glance, you might think, yay, the Realme is more stable. But what you are seeing here is the Realme topping out at 1080-30, whereas the Redmi, the shot you're seeing here is downscaled from 4K 30. Now drop the Redmi down to 1080-30 and it's got better stability. So while the dynamic range is still a tad better with the Realme, the Note 11 Pro is the more versatile video camera. Now, talking about versatility, the Note 11 Pro has a secondary ultra-wide which the Realme 8S lacks, and macros, I'm not even gonna go there. With selfies, both phones have 16 megapixel snappers, and here the Redmi has a clear edge. Because even with all beauty stuff turned off, Realme has some weird skin smoothing going on. Now here's another example of the same. Guys, overall, I can't help but feel disappointed with the Redmi Note 11 Pro. Given the optics haven't changed since last gen, the last thing you'd expect to let the experience down is software, but that is what happens here. Intruding for one last time, the jittery viewfinder issues, those have been ironed out by Xiaomi. Not an issue anymore. The viewfinder is smooth AF, but the rest of the camera performance remains more or less the same. Now for Realme, I really wish they'd switch to AMOLED, because honestly, all the time I was shooting in my head, I was under the impression the Redmi Note 11 Pro was doing better. That's just because of how much better the images look on screen. So anyways guys, that's pretty much it for this quick little camera comparison video. I was very surprised that the Realme 8S came out on top as much as it did. Were you surprised as well? Or do you feel Redmi should have done better? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And with that, it's time for me to bid you adieu. We're at the end of this video. Thumbs up, thumbs down based on whatever you felt about it. Subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that bell icon if you haven't yet. And thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. My name's Ash. You've been watching C4eTech, and I'm signing off for now. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.